Here we go. Scottie Pippen, Rob. Scottie Pippen is making some headline. I mean, he's
No,
going
you already
after
gave him
Kevin
the nickname.
Durant.
Scottie Pippen is tripping. Let's just
Right,
need to start there.
right. Hey, here he is, and he's on the Dan Patrick Show today.
But have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Do you think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you remember Phil Jackson left the Lakers, wrote a book on Kobe Bryant, and then came back and coached him? I mean, who would do that? You name someone in professional sports that would do that, you know? I think he tried to expose Kobe in a way that he shouldn't have. You're the head coach, and you're the guy that sits in the locker room and tells the players, this is a circle, and everything stays within the circle, because that's what team is about. But you as the head coach, open it up, and now you go out and you try to belittle, at that time, probably one of the greatest players in the game.
All right, that's Scottie Pippen. And for those that maybe haven't heard, Scottie Pippen in a GQ magazine article called the infamous situation where it was the 1994 second-round playoffs, and the Knicks and the Bulls are playing. Michael Jordan's off playing baseball, so Scottie Pippen is the best player on the team.
I remember it very vividly.
Were you
I was
there?
watching. I know
there?
I was watching that. I was in
Okay.
Detroit then, but I vividly remember that whole thing.
Yes. So the game is tied at 102 with 1.8 seconds left. Is game 3. And Phil Jackson draws up a play for Toni Kukoc, who was a rookie. He was a highly touted rookie, right? He had played professionally overseas and was, a great European player. And he drew up the play for Kukoc, who averaged 10 points a game that year. And Pippen was so upset that he refused to go in the game. And then they run the play without Pippen, who was supposed to be the inbounder, and Kukoc hits the game-winning shot, and the Bulls end up losing the series in 7. But all his teammates were upset with him, black, white, whatever. And there were tears in the locker room.
It wasn't about Phil Jackson. He let them down.
Right.
It wasn't at that time. You need to come in the game, even if the play. Imagine if all the players did that. If every time the play was for Scottie.
Oh no!
Right?
It's crazy. It's crazy. But the thing that's brought that back to the forefront, Rob, is Scottie Pippen said Phil Jackson drawing up the play for Toni Kukoc was racist or racial, to use his exact term, and that's why Dan Patrick was asking him about it. And obviously, he just doubled down on it. He didn't run from it. He didn't smooth it over. He doubled down. Your thoughts, Rob?
I don't see his evidence. I don't see anything calling a play in that situation. Just like I remember people were saying the same thing, Chris, and not in a racial way, but that Pete Carroll didn't want Marshawn Lynch to be the MVP of the Super Bowl. So they ran the ball instead of letting
Russell Wilson.
Russell
Wilson threw it.
Instead of letting they didn't want Marshawn Lynch to be the dude. No, it was a bad play call. How about that? It was a terrible. I can't believe they're sitting there going, well, let me see. We don't want Marshawn Lynch to be the MVP. We'll let Russell throw it so that he can be the MVP. Really? Nobody. Really? Are you thinking that at the Super Bowl on the goal line? I just don't believe it.
Rob.
I don't believe that. That's a gutsy call. Even in Toni Kukoc, you just said it. You spelled it out. 10, averaging 10 points. He's a rookie. You know what I mean? Didn't Scottie miss the 2 previous shots, Chris, before that?
I believe so.
In that game. He took the 2 shots previous that could have put them up that he missed. So I just you got to give me more than that. If you're going to go down this road, Chris, and you know me and I know you, neither one of us are afraid to call it when it's there.
Right.
We'll call it out if we don't think it's right. We don't like the hiring in the NBA, right?
Yep.
We'll call it out and say
We've
these owners
done
need
so
to
many
stop.
times.
We've done it.
Yep.
So I don't want people to be like, oh, you just saying. No. You can't say that about Chris and I. You can't. But I don't have any Exhibit A, Chris, nothing to draw on other than him saying it's racial. And the whole story about writing a book with Kobe Bryant, he left out that, yes, he wrote the book probably thinking he would never go there and go back there, and then his girlfriend, right, who owns the team, has him back. I mean, did we forget that part?
Right, and that's you can say that was a weak move. That was
but racial?
To make it racial, I don't get that. My thing is this, Rob. Let's go to the play first of all. I'm with you. If Phil Jackson wanted to make a racial statement, he could have been doing it all year.
Right.
He could have started Toni Kukoc. We know Jerry Krause loved Kukoc. Kukoc barely started that year.
And don't forget,
he didn't really start most of the games. And he only averaged 10 points. He could have went out of his way to try to make Kukoc a star during the season. To do it at that point in time, I think your number one thought is, I want to win this game.
Right.
There's no way I think that play call. And what about the other black players on the team? Why were they so upset with Scott? If they thought it was racist, I would have thought they would have been like, yo, we got your back, dog. We know what.
How about this?
You know how it is.
None of them, Chris. They could have all said we're not going in. If they really, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you thought
like
something
you've been
was
doing
like
this all year, Phil.
Right.
We've been watching you. Nah, whatever. I mean, there was just no support for it. Kukoc started 8 games out of 75 that year that he played.
Right.
So why wasn't he building him up all year to be this great white hope, so to speak? So there's that, Rob. And then also, why are you just saying this 28 years later? 27 years later.
And you work for Phil. You were a special assistant.
In 2005, he went and joined Phil's staff as a special assistant.
Thank you.
For
Come
the
on,
Lakers.
Chris.
So, right. Well, if you think he's all that much of a racist, you obviously don't need the money. You're Scottie. Like, it's not adding up. And Scottie said this to Dan Patrick, if you listen to the whole interview. He said, look, I was in the locker room. I was, I don't know if he exactly said on the team, playing the team, but he was basically like, look, I had intimate, experiences with Phil and the team. I saw what went on behind closed doors. And he's right. I mean, none of us know exactly what was going on, but I just think you got to give some evidence when you come out and make a claim like this.
And the stuff he came out with, Chris, isn't good enough.
No, because it
doesn't add up.
It's not necessarily racist. Now, there are some incidents that would speak to maybe a racial insensitivity. Remember, Phil had the incident with LeBron's guys back in 2016.
But I'll say this. Go ahead. What did he call him?
He called Maverick Carter, Randy Mims, and Rich Paul Lebron's posse.
Okay, now I'm going to say this.
They took exception to that because they're like, we're businessmen. Would you call, Tom Brady's friends that are running his businesses his posse? And whether it's racial or not, that's how they took it.
No, that's fine, right? But I will say, one of the biggest posses, Chris, other than the Western days when they went after the bad guys, was Arsenio Hall, his group. You remember his band? That's what he called them.
The posse.
My posse.
Right.
So that word could be used, and that was Arsenio Hall with a mostly black band, right, on his late night show.
Yep.
All right, give it up for my posse. So maybe he thought it was him.
And we all, let's face it, a lot of people years ago, before 2016, when players had entourages in the early 2000s, everybody was kind of saying that was their posse. Right.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. I'm not – you can say that you don't appreciate it, which is fine, but I don't think Phil used some word that nobody else used, Chris. That's all I'm saying.
And then here's the other thing. You remember when David Stern, the late, great commissioner of the NBA, came up with the dress code. And Phil Jackson said he supported it because he was saying players were wearing, quote, unquote, prison garb for years. So those are things that, could they have a racial undertone? Sure.
That does definitely.
Yeah.
Now,
so
that does.
There's that, but, I would like to have heard more evidence from Scottie. You're in the locker room. So
what did he do?
Yeah,
what did he say?
Because like you said, Rob, I believe if we see racism, call it out then and there.
Yes.
There's no or set up the right time, to call it out and bring attention to it. And certainly if you're someone on the level of Scottie Pippen, he's got clout. And he could have called it out a long time ago if it really was there.
And when you go work for that guy, it's hard for me to buy into it, Chris. I'm sorry. This all sounds, he attacked Michael Jordan just in that article. Now it's Phil Jackson. He sounds upset, sounds like bitter.
Yes,
and I don't get it.
Yeah,
right?
It's odd. Finally, Rob, you mentioned he worked for Phil Jackson on his staff. In 2019, this is just 2 years ago, he actually said that Phil should be the Lakers head coach. When they were going to get rid of Luke Walton, he said they should
that
hire
when he was
Phil.
on ESPN?
It might have been. It probably was TNT.
Yeah.
But he said he should hire Phil. So it doesn't really add up. We're going to throw it out to you guys. 877. What do you make of Scottie Pippen's comments about Phil Jackson?
All right, let's kick it off with Richard in California. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Richard?
Hey, Chris. Hey, Rob. How you guys doing?
We're great, man. How are you?
I want to thank Scottie Pippen for not letting us down. That guy is jealous that his name is never mentioned every time you say Michael Jordan. He thinks he should be. And the guy, he should be ashamed of himself. This is so cheap. What a cheap shot. And I would venture to say that there are many black families that have basically kept their heads down and taking care of business. They don't want their kids hearing this kind of crap. This is not the way to do it. There are times when the black disadvantages are, it's fair to say that, but not this. This is
not without evidence, Richard. The problem is
you don't just need to cry wolf all the time.
Right. You can't do it. You can't do it. If he laid out a case, Chris, today,
oh yeah, right,
and he laid out 2 or 3 real examples and told you or whatever, I'd look at it differently because he is in behind the scenes. We're not there.
We only know Phil to a certain extent.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. I thought the caller made a great point, Rob, when he said Scottie's upset that every time Michael Jordan's name isn't mentioned, his name isn't mentioned.
No doubt.
Or with Michael Jordan. Now, obviously, a lot of times you hear Pippen or Jordan and Pippen, right? But, Michael Jordan obviously is just on his own, And it does feel like Scottie, because, he's taking little subtle jabs at Mike. Nothing outright. But little subtle things, I was the real leader and all that.
If you think about it, Chris, too, just where they were, I mean, you're in the same locker room, playing the same team. You both won 6 championships. One guy's a billionaire owner, right, with an unbelievable sneaker thing, sneaker company going on. And he was right there. And he's not, you know what I mean? So I get it.
I mean, look, Scottie, and we said it, he was a great player. But come on, man.
Right.
Michael Jordan. Yes. It's almost like if Kyrie were all upset that LeBron gets all the love he gets in Cleveland, and I mean, you get your appropriate love. We know what you did.
DJ in Oklahoma City, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, DJ?
Hey, you guys doing? Chris, Rob, you guys doing all right?
Doing
great.
We're
good, man. How are you?
Great, fantastic. I just want to chime in on this Pippen thing. I have no idea. I think it's a book sale, what you're doing, because that Kukoc play Phil drew, I don't know if you guys remember, against the Pacers in the regular season that year, Reggie Miller hit that winning shot.
Oh, man.
We losing? Oh, man.
Go ahead.
Say
Go
that
back to what
again.
you were saying.
Oh, no. Toni Kukoc hit that Pacers after Reggie Miller did that bow.
Well, and you're right. Kukoc hit, because Phil Jackson said that in The Last Dance, that year Kukoc had hit a couple of game winners. And so that's one reason he drew up the play for Kukoc.
Right, because he had done it before.
Right. And he did it that night.
No, he sure did. Bobby
Scottie should have just owned it, man. You know what I mean? Just, hey.
Well, you got to go in the game, though. You can't do that, Chris.
Right. But, in the interviews with GQ, he should have just been like, yeah, I should have went in. I mean, I was, I apologize to my guys.
Right.
We moved on. Yeah.
Bobby in Wichita, Kansas, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Bobby?
Hey, how you guys doing this evening?
Doing
Great,
good.
man. How are you?
Awesome, man. I love you guys' show. You know, I've a few times calling. I'm gonna get right to my point here.
Appreciate it.
Like I was telling your screener there, when it comes to racism, as a black man, I don't get to decide what another black man decides is racism, right? If he felt like he dealt with that in real time, then I got to respect that part. And I know you guys say, well, like, why didn't he bring it up then? Blah blah blah. Like,
nah, but Bobby,
this
That's
stuff
30
right
years
now.
you're waiting.
Bobby, your point, I get your point. Okay, hang on, Bobby. I want you to answer these 2 questions for me. All right, if you know a guy's racist, why would you go work on his staff?
Hey, you know what?
When
Because
you
the man
don't
want
need
money.
the money.
When you
don't
no,
need the
no,
money.
no, he don't need
How
the
much
money.
was he really getting?
He wasn't
to be
making
in
that money
training
to be
camp?
to be a training camp assistant. Come on.
Hey, but obviously the man needed some money. You don't work for nobody for nothing. I mean, look. In
Okay, now
America,
Bobby. Okay,
as a black
okay.
man, I work for somebody racist
Yeah,
before too.
but you didn't make millions of dollars
Right.
like Scottie Pippen. You have to go to work. We get that.
We
We
get
ain't disparaging that.
Right.
But Scottie Pippen don't.
He don't have to work. and here's your second thing. If you're going to do that and go public, Bobby, which is fine. I applaud people go public. Give me something I could chew on.
Right.
He didn't give us anything.
That's the thing.
Chris,
and,
right?
And it's also an
Give me something.
It's also, Rob, and I get what the brother's saying. And if I had some individual experiences with a guy that you don't know about, Rob, then you can probably be like, I can't speak on that.
Right.
That's
I
why
get
I
that.
said. That's what we
I
both
get
said.
that.
Look, we can't speak to what he saw in the locker room or what he experienced on the team bus or if he points something like that out. But in a team context, with other black players there, unless they're coming, maybe if they're there with you and they're with the coach and they're seeing the same things you're seeing and you call something racist, they can say, nah, that wasn't racist. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. They all experienced, the other black men experienced that. And so maybe some of them will come out and support Scottie.
Right.
But I'd want to hear that. So